Good morning to one and all. I welcome you all and thank you for taking the time off to join us in this celebration. Today we have with us Mr. Shailesh Gandhi, who has the unique distinction of being the first RTI activist to have been appointed as a Central Information Commissioner. Mr. Gandhi was a part of the national RTI movement, which was involved in drafting the National Act. Over the years, he has used RTI and also trained many citizens and government officials in over 1,000 workshops to use it. He has also organized the first digital paperless office in Commission. He is passionately pursuing the cause of evolving ways for a time-bound justice delivery system and improving governance systems. I request the NSS coordinator of our college, Dr. Vaishali Patrule, to felicitate him and Mr. Arvind Natarajan.
Fellow citizens of India, while I was coming today morning, I was trying to remember what I had learned much earlier and have forgotten perhaps. Which is the world's largest democracy? Sure. When I was in school, I was taught that democracy is rule of the people, for the people, by the people. Is that still right or has there been a change? Is that right or wrong? Right, okay. If you go to a government office, do you feel it's your rule? If you went, would any of you feel that it's your rule if you went to a government office? No. Then how is it a democracy? Either the definition of democracy is wrong or we are not a democracy. What is the true position? Are we a democracy or not? We are or are not? We are. But then it's not rule of the people, for the people, by the people. Then how is it a democracy? We call India the world's largest democracy because we have a reasonably fair system of elections by which we are able to change leaders, governments, etc. It's a reasonably fair system that operates. I would submit to you that having a fair system of elections and a constitution are necessary conditions for a democracy but are not the complete set of conditions. The heart and essence of democracy is the concept that each individual citizen is a sovereign in her own right and she gives a part of the sovereignty to the state in return for which she gets the rule of law. Sovereignty of the individual citizen is the heart of democracy and we miss that. In Hindi we use the word Lok Shahi. Lok Shahi means logo ki shahenशाही. You, sir, if you go to a government office, should feel like a Badshah. You, if you go to a government office, should feel like a Begum. But does that happen? No. Then, how can this be a democracy at all? One place when I was talking of this, a student got up and said, Mr. Gandhi, ये बातें तो बड़ी अच्छी चिकनी चुपड़ी लगती हैं. बादशाह बेगम सब बन गए. हाँ, आप बेगम बन गई इस देश के बाद लोकशाही की. But can a nation run with 130 crore badshahs and begums? What do you think? Is it possible to run a nation with 130 crore badshahs and begums? It actually happens, and this is what I'd like to stress before you. And I'll give you two examples about this. The first example is of United States of America. I'm not saying everything in USA is good, but in terms of democracy, they have a 2-century lead over us. In the United States, an immigrant from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, wherever, will easily pick up a telephone if he or she has applied for green card or residency or permanent citizenship of the United States and ask about the status of his or her application. And 99% he or she will get a perfectly rational answer from the other side of the telephone. You are all first-rate citizens of India. If you have applied for change of address in your ration card and you don't get a response, will you pick up the phone to ask? Generally the answer is no. Because you are so confident that if you call up, nobody will answer that phone. And if somebody does pick up that phone, he will say, तुम समझते क्या हो अपने आप को? क्या फोन पे हम तुम्हारे नौकर हैं क्या? Even if you go to a government office, your chance of getting proper information are 50-50. One more example I'd like to quote before you. This is a story that you are all aware of. A story that occurred 125 years back in South Africa. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi got inside that train in South Africa. He had a first class ticket, but the white man objected, and hence he was taken off the train. In the same story is written that Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi complained about what had happened to him by telegram. 125 years back in South Africa, remember. And in 12 to 14 hours, the railway official came and put him on the next train. Think of the significance of this. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was not a citizen of South Africa. By South African law, as it persisted there, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was a second-rate human being. Even as a human being, he was a second-rate human being because he was not a white and he was a brown man. Despite that, in 12 to 14 hours, the system responded because one human being had complained. In fact, I'd go further and say, forget democracy. The concept of human rights revolves around respect to an individual human being, citizen or no citizen. A human voice talks, a human being sends a letter, that must be responded. And that is what I would submit to you, right to information enforces. Right of an individual, respect to the individual citizen of India. That is really the key to the right to information and why people like me consider it so important to our democracy. But I must point out that if you are a Badsha or Begum of this nation, are you convinced that you are a Begum of this nation? Loudly. The girls here speak very softly. Students in my time used to be much louder. Yes or no?
Yes.
When you go out of this door, I am hoping you will learn something about right to information, but more importantly, you will go out believing that you are the Begums of India. And Badshahs and Begums have rights and authority. They also have certain duties. You might recall that Article 51 of the Indian Constitution talks of fundamental duties of citizens. If something is wrong, the ruler has to do something. You can't say somebody else will going to do it, the leader is going to do it, Uddhav Thackeray will do it, or the chief minister will do it. You, if you are the ruler of this nation, and you are, when you call yourself a democracy, it is your responsibility to correct things that are wrong. Very well. Now we'll take a look at the right to information. This is an extremely simple law, believe me. I'm not a lawyer by profession. And I can understand this law. You are all younger and smarter than me. All of you can understand this law. Law is what is written in words, and it's simple English. It's not complicated English. And in this law, in other laws, there is a complication because people say under so and so law, this is the conclusion, or these are the rights and these are the restrictions. In RTI overrides all earlier laws as far as giving of information is concerned. So all you know, all you need to know is the right to information, to be able to use it and to understand the significance and importance of this. If giving of information is concerned, no other law can be brought in to say, I will not give you information because of this law. Let's take a look at the provisions of this law, and I'm sure you will be able to use this law effectively and establish a true democracy in India, the true Swaraj that we dreamt of. We're talking of right to information. What is information? It's important to understand. It is right to information, not right to interrogation. Therefore, if you say what is the meaning of this law, if I apply for something, what will happen? That is not information. Information is what exists. What exists on records is information. So whenever you file an RTI application, think of asking about something that is there. Why do you have the right to information? Let's pause for a while and ask. I said you are the Begums of India. If you are the Begums of India, everything in government, every table, tube light, chair, car, tank, gun, fan belongs to you. Is that right? Yes or no?
Yes.
If you like one of those cars, can you take it home? Why? Whose bag is that? Yours. Can you take it home without asking the principal?
No.
Why?
It is mine.
Then why can't I take the car home?
Because it's not yours.
You said you are the ruler, so therefore it is yours. But you are right. It is in partnership with 130 crore Indians. Therefore I can't take it away. If I take it away, I take away the rights of 130 crore people. But the information in the cupboards, in the computers, in the files also belongs to me, each one of you individually. And therefore, if the information is given to me, it does not deprive anybody else of anything. And therefore, I have a right. The default mode is I own the information, I, the citizen of India, owns the information, and therefore all information must be given to me, barring few bits of information which are mentioned in the law. Nobody can say this is confidential or this is sensitive, hence I will not give it to you. Nobody, he has to refer to one of the exemptions in the law to refuse an information. Otherwise, all the information, you own the information. You as citizen of India own the information. Who has to give information? The law defines what's called public authority. Public authority means any authority or body or institution of self-government established or constituted by or under the constitution, by any other law made by parliament, by any other law made by state legislature. In simple terms, everything that we call government is included. Central government, state government, municipal corporations, municipalities, panchayats, everything that you call government is included. By notification issued or order made by the appropriate government. Therefore, deemed universities are also covered. They are made by a notification issued by government and includes any body owned, controlled or substantially financed. The key principle is money is mine in the government. What we say government money is my money, your money. You own that money. And therefore anywhere where state funding is involved and non-government organizations substantially financed it directly or indirectly by funds provided by the appropriate government, I own that and therefore the information on that must be given to me. I'd like to give a small example to you to illustrate this. Have you all heard of Mumbai Metro One Private Limited? Yes? Yes. Whose company is it? Whose company is it? Reliance, right. I knew that there was some government funding in it, so I asked them for information, right to information. They wrote back saying, Mr. Gandhi, don't you understand English language? We are Mumbai Metro One Private Limited. It's a private limited company owned by Reliance, so how do we give you information? Why should we give you information? Then I dug a little deeper, and this is what I discovered. Government has put 780 crore rupees in this Mumbai Metro One Private Limited. Plus 600 crores worth of land has been given. 780 crores money and 600 crores worth of land. How much has Reliance put in? 380 crores. How is it a Reliance company? Because the equity is 74% Reliance, 26% government. How is, does anyone understand how such black magic is achieved? Can you understand? 780 crores government plus 600 crores worth of land, 24% equity. 380 crores cash given by Reliance and 74% equity. This is done by what I call using labels. Very imaginatively, very innovatively. 780 crores of government money is given in two labels. 600 crores is called viability gap funding. To make the project viable, 600 crores needs to be given. Only 180 crores is the equity of government. 180 crores equity of government versus 380 crores equity of Reliance. Therefore, it becomes 74% Reliance, 26% government. But even such projects, you can get information on. A lot of the public-private partnerships that we talk of are actually public gives, private takes. And these must be exposed, these must be defended by citizens like you, and any individual citizen using RTI can actually unearth such things. What is right to information? Right to information means the right to information accessible under this Act, which is held by or under the control of any public authority and includes the right to inspection of work, documents, records. You can inspect files. You can ask for an inspection of files in a government office. You can inspect work also. For example, if a road has potholes, if you say, why are there potholes here? Probably the answer would be there are no potholes because they are not on record. But you can say, I want to inspect this road with the municipal officer, take photographs, make a record, and then you can say why are these potholes and you can hold somebody accountable. Taking notes, extracts or certified copies of documents or records, you can take photocopies of papers on the file and get information extracted out of that. Taking certified samples of material. You can, if you believe the concreting in a road is bad, you can take a sample of the concrete and get it tested. If you believe medicines in a government hospital are fake, you can take samples and get them tested. If you believe the food go down has bad quality grains, you can again take a sample and get it tested. Obtaining information in the form of diskettes, etc. CCTV footage is also included in this. All CCTV footage everywhere is yours. You own the CCTV footage, therefore you can get a copy of the CCTV footage if you would like. The most important section of the RTI Act is section 3. It's the shortest section. What does it say? Subject to the provisions of this Act, all citizens shall have right to information. Who can have right to information? All citizens of India. Therefore, can a college, an NGO or a company get information? The answer is no. Only any citizen of India can apply. Can any information be denied? The law says subject to the provisions of this Act. Only the provisions of this Act can be used to deny information. All the other information, default mode of all information is you own the information, hence it must be given to you. Some information may not be given, which is described later, and we'll deal with that a little later. Let's do a small quiz to see whether I have been able to explain things properly. Are these seeking information? If I apply for a water connection, will it be granted to me? Is this seeking information? Yes or no? No, that's right. Why does Swami Vivekananda Road have many potholes?
Yes.
There will be no record of this. Think carefully. Do you think the municipal corporation has a record saying why there are so many potholes? 99% no, therefore the answer would be no. Can a sample be taken from a government go down? Loud.
Yes.
With confidence. Can you file a RT application with neither both these companies? No. Absolutely right, because there is government money in it, there is our money, but technically it's called neither both these private companies. Can you file a RT application with an aided school?
Yes.
Wonderful. You know the Act 25% as much as I do now. The heart of the RTI Act is what's called Section 4. The whole idea is, if you are the king or queen of India, why should you even have to ask for information? It should be available on the web. It should be available suo motu to you. Why, if a queen doesn't have to ask for things, but this is not really being followed. What does it say? Every public authority shall maintain all its records duly catalogued and indexed in a manner and form which facilitates the right to information under this Act, and ensure that all records that are appropriate to be computerized are within a reasonable time and subject to availability of resources, computerized and connected through a network all over the country on different systems so that access to such records is facilitated. The promise of this law was that all records would be computerized and networked all across the country. 14 years since the law was made, and this promise has not been kept. This is a promise of the Parliament. A law is a promise, a directive to the government to follow this. This has not happened, and let me explain to you what can possibly happen, what can be the impact of this. You may have heard that when quite often a citizen goes to a government office, he or she is told file bhet at night. If he gives some money, the file surfaces. If you give some money, a record can be changed. If you give some money, a record can be removed. And if maybe a few thousand rupees are given, the record can be made to disappear. The file can just disappear. And of course, if a few lakh rupees are given, you can have a fire in Mantralaya. All this is possible when you have paper records. All government offices have computers. They are all networked today. All over the country we have a network. Mobile phones reach every place in the country. Just imagine All government letters are actually made on a computer, but the governments use computers as electric typewriters. Imagine if the file was made there and it was sent as an email. To give an example, if a file today originates in Borivali Municipal Office and has to go to the head office in BT, it has to be physically taken. From there, if it has to go to Mantralaya, somebody has to physically take that file to Mantralaya. And from there, let's assume it has to go to Delhi, somebody has to the file physically travels. Over this travel, records can be changed, mutilated, lost. It's a miracle that more records are not lost. On the other hand, electronically, and the amount of time taken is enormous. Electronically, if the same thing at Borivali were to start electronically, be sent to the head office, from there electronically sent to Mantralaya, from there sent to Delhi and back, the whole process could finish in an hour. The speed at which it can happen, and the electronic systems, if you change anything, it can be found out who changed it, where it was changed and what it was before. Most information at the end of a day can be put up on the website itself so that citizens can monitor. And when people know that everything is going on the website, the chance of corruption decreases tremendously. Because any citizen can take a look anywhere and figure out that something wrong is happening. This has not been done. And mind you, with the paper file system, a few thousand crore rupees every year are spent by government on paper, files, the cardboard on which it is put. A comparable amount is spent to keep these files. You need space to keep these files. And a comparable amount to transport these and to find these files. All of which can be saved. I am suggesting to you as queens of this nation, as begums of this nation, start thinking of how this can happen. It can happen. It's not a big pipe dream. In 3 years, if you force the government, persuade the government to do it, raise this at every position, saying government must go digital. To a citizen who cannot read an electronic file, a paper document may be given by taking a printout. The government working must be on computers, and if that happens, transparency will go up, efficiency will go up, corruption will go down. That's the promise of this law. Request for obtaining information. A person who desires to obtain information under this, now who should I ask for information? Think of which office is likely to hold the information, that you want. Every public office of a public authority has to have a public information officer designated. So all you need to do is address the application to the public information officer of a particular office. If that office does not have your information, it is the duty of the public information officer to transfer it within 5 days to the office that has the information. He cannot return it to the begum of this nation. You are the begums. Therefore, you got to be treated with respect, and that is the respect that is given to you. A person who desires to obtain any information under this act shall make a request in writing or through electronic means in English or Hindi or in the official language of the area, which in Maharashtra will be Marathi. It can be in any 3 languages. The response may come in any one of these 3 languages also. An applicant making request for information shall not be required to give any reason for requesting the information or any other personal details except those that may be necessary for contacting him. Now, do you think this is valid? I mean, I have often thought that this is slightly unreasonable. Without any reason asking for information, does it look okay? No, okay. To open a cupboard in your house, do you need anybody's permission? Why? It's my house. Do you need to give a reason to somebody? No. Similarly, the information in the government belongs to me. Why should I have to give a reason? RTI is a fundamental right of citizens under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. Article 19(1)(a) covers 3, amongst other rights. Supreme Court's various rulings have said freedom to speak, that's what gives you the right to put whatever you like on social media. Freedom to publish. Why is media considered so important in a democracy? We say media is the 4th pillar of democracy. Why is it so important? It is important because it is a medium through which citizens get information. My right to information is the reason for media to be considered very important, for its right to be considered a fundamental right. and of course my right to information. If I have to give reasons for seeking information, I'll tomorrow be asked to give reasons for speaking, I'll tomorrow be asked to give reasons for publishing, I'll tomorrow have to give a reason for posting something on Twitter. Therefore, it is important to understand no reasons need to be given. When an application is, now this I told you, in case it belongs to another office, the PIO's responsibility to transfer it. He cannot return the RT application to you by saying that I don't have the information. Information to be provided in 30 days. Application fee is rupees 10. Maharashtra, the simplest way of paying this is using a court fee stamp. You can stick it. Any piece of paper is your application. There is no application form that you have to get from anywhere. You can do it in handwritten form, you can do it typewritten or computer generated. Take a 10 rupee court fee stamp, stick it on the application. That's your application fee. Central government Indian postal order. For central government applications, court fee stamp won't work. You can take an Indian postal order from a government, from a post office and attach it to your application. Further fees rupees 2 per page. If you ask him for 50 pages of information, the PIO can ask you to pay 2 rupees per page and 100 rupees, and you'll have to pay that before you can get the information. No further fees if information given after 30 days. If over 30 days have crossed, then no fees can be charged. Even if it's 2000 page information, 4000 rupees the government will have to forego and the information will have to be given to you free of charge. No form required to be obtained. On receipt of a request under Section 6, PIO shall, as expeditiously as possible, in any case within 30 days of the receipt of the request, either provide the information on payment of such fee as may be prescribed or reject the request for any of the reasons specified in Section 8 and 9. Only in Section 8 and 9 are reasons given why information may not be given. Section 9 covers copyright. So, for example, if you ask the censor board for a DVD of a film, it will not be given to you because that would infringe on somebody's copyright. If you ask a library, government library, to give you copies of a book, it may not be given if it's infringing a copyright. Where a request has been rejected under subsection 1, the PIO shall communicate to the person making the request the reasons for, and these reasons have to be not just a section of the law, but explaining how the exemption applies. The period within which an appeal against such rejection may be preferred. There is a first appellate authority who is a senior officer in the same department to whom you must file an appeal within 30 days. But the details of the first appellate authority and the period of 30 days must be indicated to you by the public information officer rejecting information. 30-day period, how is it to be counted? PIO receives RT application day 1. After X days, PIO sends letter asking additional fees, 30-day clock stops. Additional fees paid, 30-day clock starts again. Information sent after Y days. X plus Y should be less than or equal to 30 days. In case of a transfer of information, must be provided in 35 days. Let's take a look at this. True or false? If the information is a different PIO, the RT application can be returned. True or false? False. Loudly.
False.
So that I know you are all awake. I can't see whether your eyes are closed or open from this distance. Reasons have to be given for seeking information. Great. PIO must respond in the language that the applicant wants. False, false. The PIO will respond in any one of the 3 languages. You can also file your application in any one of the 3 languages. An NGO is eligible to seek information in RTI. PIO can demand ₹100 for providing 50 pages of information to 40 days after receiving the RTI application. Great. 50% RTI you know now, only 50% more and you're on your way to being RTI experts. Now we talked of fundamental duties. We also have fundamental rights under the Constitution of India. RTI is a fundamental right of citizens under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, which guarantees freedom of speech and expression. Once it is a fundamental right, can any restrictions be placed on it? Unless it is provided for in the Constitution. Only the Constitution can say what restrictions may be put on my fundamental right. And Article 19(2), the only permissible restrictions are given in Article 19(2), which permits reasonable restrictions in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, decency or morality, or in relation to contempt of court, defamation or incitement to an offence. The restrictions on the right to speak, on the right to publish and the right to information have to be equivalent. If somebody says right to information must have this thing, does right to publish have the same restriction? Does right to speak have the same restriction? All restrictions or all these three must be limited to Article 19(2) of the Constitution. This is the section that you need to understand. This is the only information that can be derived to you. Otherwise, information is yours. You own the information. Notwithstanding anything contained in this Act, there shall be no obligation to give any citizen information, disclosure of which would prejudicially affect the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security, strategic, scientific or economic interests of the state, relation with foreign state or lead to incitement of an offence. Army is covered under RTI. So if you ask, where are the army formations? That information will not be given. How many armaments are there? How many guns are there? What ammunition? How do you get it from? That kind of information would affect the sovereignty of India and hence it will not be given. Information which has been expressly forbidden to be published by any court of law or tribunal, or the disclosure of which may constitute contempt of court. If a court has said this information is not to be revealed, then it cannot be given, but the rest of the information has to be given to you. Information, the disclosure of which would cause a breach of privilege of Parliament or the state legislature. Have you heard of Adarsh Ghotala? Yes. Okay. What kind of information will be denied here? For example, before the budget is presented to Parliament or state legislature, information on the budget papers will be denied to you. Similarly, there is certain information which must be given to Parliament or state legislature. Before it is given there, it cannot be given to you. For example, commissions of inquiry. Whenever something happens, government appoints a commission of inquiry. And as per the Commission of Inquiry Act, in 6 months, the report must be placed on the floor of the legislature or Parliament. So before the 6-month period, information cannot be given to you. But after the 6-month period is over, even if the government has not placed it in the legislature or Parliament, you can demand the information and it must be given to you. Information including commercial confidence, trade secrets or intellectual property, the disclosure of which would harm the competitive position of a third party. There is a larger public interest clause which we will deal with later. 2 conditions have to be satisfied. Supposing you were to ask for the formulation of Coca-Cola from FDA, that could not be given to you because it would damage their competitive interest and its commercial confidence. But Indian Railways cannot claim this, in my opinion, because Indian Railways have no competition. Air India can claim this, Bank of India can claim this. Information available to a person is fiduciary relationship. Now, fiduciary is a term that generally most government servants don't understand. Most citizens also don't know what is fiduciary. So it's common for people in government to say this is held by government in a fiduciary relationship. The traditional fiduciary relationships are doctor-patient, banker-customer, lawyer-customer. These are the traditional fiduciary relationships in which information is given by someone to another person with superior knowledge for his or her benefit. He gives it because he has trust in such a person, and there is no compulsion in law to provide this information. Most information in government is fulfillment of a law. Therefore, it is not held by government in a fiduciary relationship. But, for example, Bank of India has my account and you go and say, I want details of Mr. Gandhi's account. Bank of India holds my information in a fiduciary relationship. Information received in confidence from foreign government. This is the only place where the word confidence or confidentiality is used. If information has been given by a foreign government in confidence, then it can be denied by the government. Based on this, certain information on Rafale is being denied to citizens. Information, the disclosure of which would endanger the life or physical safety of any person or identify the source of information or assistance given in confidence for law enforcement or security purposes. If information has been given which would endanger somebody's life, then that information cannot be revealed. Information which would impede the process of investigation or apprehension or prosecution of offenders. If an investigation is ongoing, can information be denied as per this clause? What do you think? Does the law say that? The law did not say that when an investigation is ongoing, information can be refused. The law has used the word impede. So somebody has to show how revealing the information is likely to impede the investigation. Generally, people have filed a complaint and they know that no investigation is going on, so they ask for what is the progress of this, and the PIO will refuse, saying investigation is not going. The person who has given the complaint cannot be alleged to want to impede the process of investigation, therefore information must be provided. Cabinet papers including records of deliberations of the councils of ministers, secretaries and other officers, provided that the decisions of councils of ministers, the reasons thereof and the material on the basis of which the decisions are taken, shall be made public after the decision has been taken and the matter is complete or over. After a decision is taken, information has to be provided to public suo motu by the government. The most popular exception clause is section 81J, which quite often PIO is used to deny information. Information which relates to personal information, the disclosure of which has no relationship to any public activity or interest, or which would cause unwarranted invasion of the privacy of the individual, unless the PIO is satisfied that the larger public interest justifies the disclosure of such information, provided that the information which cannot be denied to Parliament or state legislature shall not be denied to any person. Therefore, all personal information cannot be denied. Personal information, if it is not of any public activity, most information on government records is out of a public activity, or if it is unwarranted invasion of the privacy of an individual. What is privacy? Anyone? Would anyone like to tell me what is privacy? Very well, you are in very good company. A 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court sat and gave a big judgment of 547 pages in the Puttaswamy case, saying privacy is a fundamental right of citizens. But in that entire judgment, you can't find out what is privacy. Here, it was recognized that for a public information officer, it would be difficult to figure out what is privacy. Therefore, a proviso was provided that the information which cannot be denied to any Parliament or state legislature. Whoever denies information claiming exemption under section 81A must make a statement that I would not give this information to Parliament or state legislature, and read it in conjunction with Article 19.2. There are only two words in Article 19.2 which would fit to privacy: decency or morality. Therefore, if revealing some information would be violation of decency or morality, then this information would not be provided. Let's do a third quiz. If a matter is sub judice, information shall not be provided regarding it. Is it true or false? False, because sub judice matters are not denied under the RTI. No commercial information shall be provided. False, great. Confidential information shall not be provided. No, only if it is provided by a foreign government. Just nobody can say it's confidential information and not give it. That would be wrong. A PIO can reject a RTI application without giving any reasons. Great. An applicant must give reasons for seeking information. Wonderful. All personal information is exempted. False. Only if it is invasion of privacy, only if it is not of public activity, and if it is information that would not be provided to Parliament by the government office. If information is confidential, it will not be given. Great. First appeal to first appellate authority within 30 days for not getting information, incomplete information or wrong information. What is wrong information? Please understand. As per records, if some, let's say an illegal building has come up and you say I want details of the building which is on this plot. The PIO, if it is not on official record, will say I don't know, there is no building here. That's not false information. But if information that is provided is contrary to what is on record, then it is false information. First appellate authority should decide in 30/45 days. If result of first appeal not satisfactory, file second appeal to the commission within 90 days. Section 20 is the reason why this act works. That's the teeth of the act. If information denied without reasonable cause, commission must penalize the PIO, deem PIO rupees 250 per day or delay after giving an opportunity of explaining. Maximum penalty rupees 25,000. This is the reason why this act works. And this is the reason that recognizes the Indian citizen as the sovereign of this nation. If Akbar Badshah or Chhatrapati Shivaji had asked for some information from their courtier and courtier said, "Nahi deta hu," they would have probably slapped them into the jail. Here, if 1 lakh people of us get together and something has happened, we gather in Azad Maidan, nothing will happen to a public servant, maximum that will happen is he will get transferred. Here is a law that says that the right of the individual sovereign was violated without any reason. And if that is done, the public information officer, the public servant must pay a penalty of 250 rupees per day of delay, up to 25,000 rupees from his or her salary. This is the reason why this law works. This is the teeth of the act, in which for the first time establishes the sovereignty of the Indian citizen. Section 22 is very important because you must understand the provisions of this act shall have effect notwithstanding anything inconsistent therewith contained in the Official Secrets Act and any other law for the time being in force or in any instrument having effect by virtue of any law other than this act. No other law can be invoked to deny information. Information can be denied only if it falls under Section 8(1) of this law. RTI application information in 30 days. If no information provided or unsatisfactory response, first appeal to be filed within 30 days of response or 60 days in case of no response. First appellate authority, hearing order within 45 days. If unsatisfactory order or no response, second appeal to commission within 90 days. Let's do this last one. If the PRO refuses to give the information, the applicant must file an appeal with the Information Commission. True or false? False. He must first file a first appeal and then only a second appeal can be filed. Information which is not to be displayed as per the Evidence Act or Supreme Court rule shall not be given. False, since Section 22 says this act overrides all other acts as far as giving of information is concerned. RTI application was filed on 1 January and was rejected on 10 January. The first appeal can be filed on 25th February. False, right. The form for filing an RTI application must be obtained from a government office. The freedom of press is more important than the right to information. Absolutely dead right. Now you know the law as much as I do. I mean, just take a look at one or two instances. This is a format of application for Maharashtra. You need to follow the format for Maharashtra. To the public information officer, full name, etc. Description of the information required. This is a very famous RTI application. There's a boy from a small village in Vidarbha who came to Mumbai to look for a job. Where did he stay? He stayed in a slum with his uncle and was going around looking for a job. There was an RTI workshop like this happening in the Basti. He also sat down, understood that he does not need a form. He can take a 10 rupee court fee stamp and stick it on the RTI application. Understood what is information. Then he moved on. He got a job and after a few days he went to a rationing office to apply for a ration card. As he was going out of the door, the pune accosted him and said, "तुम्हारा ration card पाहिजेगा?" He said, "हो, त्यासाठी तर फॉर्म भरलं." The pune said, "चहा पाणी लागेल." So this boy said, "ठीक है, आपको चाय पिला दूंगा." The pune said, "चाय पानी का मतलब चाय पिलाना नहीं होता है." He said, "Then what does it mean?" He said, "You have to give 2,000 rupees." And this boy, without batting an eyelid, said, "I shall not give a bribe." Pune said, "Stupid chap coming from a village, he will never get his ration card, let him go, dhakke khane do." The boy went away and he found out from the Basti that people from villages who came to the Basti were applying for ration cards, paying this amount and getting their ration cards in about 40-45 days. He waited for 3 months and then filed this RT application which I am showing you, in which he said, "I had given an application for a ration card on 5th August 2006, photocopy of receipt attached. I want the following information. Progress of application given which officer had my application on which date, to whom did he forward it on which date. This will include the notings and comments of all the officers. Attested photocopies of all letters and notings will be given. I want a list of ration cards issued in the last 3 months, giving the dates on which the applications were made and the dates on which the ration cards were issued." What he actually wanted to say is, why is my ration card not there? But there will be nothing on record. So he asked, what has to be on record? Now if this information was provided, it could show documentary evidence that there was corruption, that there was no reason not to. They could not say, तुम्हारा application move ही नहीं किया, एक ही जगह पे चाय पानी नहीं दिया इसलिए. So next day the same pune came to his house and said, तुमको सामने बुलाया है. He went to the rationing office. The rationing officer said, अरे अरे इनके लिए कुर्सी लेके आओ और इनका राशन कार्ड लेके आओ और इनके लिए एक कप चाय और एक ग्लास पानी लेके आओ. He did not give chai pani, he got chai pani instead. And to me that one cup of tea and one glass of water is respect to the individual sovereign citizen of this nation. That is what it represents. Respect for the individual, respect for a human being is what democracy, human rights all is about. Now another case I'd like to share with you which shows the potential of what an RT application can do. This is my own RT application. One day I saw on the first page of Times of India a big photograph showing citizens demonstrating at Marine Drive because one police constable More had raped a minor. On the same day, on page 5 there was a small news item. The small news item said Police Inspector Prakash Amre of Mumbai Police had raped a minor the earlier year. The evidence was clear, he was suspended from service and the case went to court. The court acquitted him. And Police Inspector Prakash Amre was being reinstated in service. When we read some things, we feel angry. I also felt angry. I said, what can I do? So this is the application that I sent. According to news report in the Times of India dated 29th April 06, Inspector Prakash Amre was accused of raping a minor girl in September 2005. He was acquitted by the Sessions Court in February and has been reinstated in service. I want a photocopy of the order reinstating him along with the 5 notings based on which the decision was taken. This was rejected by the PIO and this is the appeal I filed. The grounds for appeal. Facts of the case. I had asked for information regarding the reinstatement of Inspector Prakash Amre as per the attached application. The PIO first sent me a letter stating that the information will be provided by Bhaikala Police Station. The PIO Bhaikala replied by his letter of so and so that the information could not be provided as it was exempt under section 818. It exempts information which would impede the process of investigation or apprehension or prosecution of offenders. Grounds for appeal. The PIO has not shown how providing the information could impede any investigation. In fact, no investigation is being held since Prakash Amre has been reinstated. The rejection is without any basis in law. In the first appeal, they called the applicant. At that time, I was not a commissioner, I was just an ordinary citizen. There was a very good deputy commissioner of police who was taking the first appeal. And he said, Mr. Gandhi, what can we do? The court has let him off. Hum kya kar sakte hain? I said, where am I asking for anything? I just want the letters which will help us decide how you reinstated him. And B, either Prakash Amre was guilty of the crime that he is alleged to have committed, in which case it's a great disservice to society, to police and to the nation if you reinstate him. Alternately, it can be claimed that Prakash Amre is actually innocent. If he was innocent, somebody framed him. If somebody framed him, such a person should be held responsible. This is like a case where nobody killed Jessica Lal. Quite often we see this. Nobody is responsible, nothing happens. The Deputy Commissioner of Police was a very good officer and he said, Mr. Gandhi, let me see what I can do. 20 days later, I got in writing from the police that Police Inspector Prakash Amre had been dismissed from service. That is the power of right to information that any one individual citizen anywhere can exercise. You can do it from your house. Sitting in your house, you can exercise this right. Will it happen every time? The answer is no. Will every RT application lead to some change? The answer is no. My own assessment is that in about 30% of the cases, something small changes in the government structure. There are decent officers, there are decent human beings everywhere. Small change occurs. Sometimes they may not give you the information, but they realize that next time you should not commit such a fault because we may get caught. This is a dream I want to share with you. If 30 lakh Indian citizens, that's not a big figure. If 30 lakh Indian citizens take a vow to file one RT application once a month on any subject that they are concerned with, my analysis shows that all Indian citizens crib for about 3 to 4 hours every month about what is wrong with India. The minister is like this, Uddhav Thackeray does this, Narendra Modi does this, Manmohan Singh did this, so and so is corrupt, police hafta khata hai, idhar kuch hota hi nahi hai, etc., etc. That cribbing changes nothing. It cannot change anything. But if you take some action, considering it is your fundamental right to change the governance, to improve the governance, If 30 lakh Indian citizens take about 3.5 crore RTI applications to be filed a year, if one third of those, 30% of that makes a small difference to the governance of India. 1 crore times some small change will happen in the governance of India. We need not come together, we can do it independently from our own houses, offices, wherever we are. And if 1 crore times a small change occurs in the governance of India, in 5 years India will be a different country, a country we can be proud of. Some place I was talking of this and telling people that look, you can make the change. Individually you can make the change. Individually you are empowered and you can use this as an instrument. There are other instruments also, but this is one powerful instrument which very easily you can use from your house. And somebody told me, an old man, he got up in the meeting and said, Mr. Gandhi, इंडिया में मैं बहुत किया, 5 साल में कंप्लेन किया, ये किया, वो किया, कुछ होता नहीं है, इंडिया में कुछ होने वाला ही नहीं है. Nothing can happen in India. It's a lost case. To them I say, a lot of us go to a mandir, masjid, gurdwara, church, a gyari, wherever, once a day, once a week, maybe once a month or once a year. When we go there and come out, is there an extra 100 rupee note in your wallet? No. Why do we do this? We do this as an act of faith. We have faith that by doing this, something good will happen to me, my family, my friends, my society, my nation, wherever. What do we do for the nation as an act of faith? Let us try and do this as an act of faith. In fact, when you go to a mandir, masjid, etc., we may not see any result. We cannot logically establish a result. It's just an act of pure faith, which is good. For the nation, you can see a logical conclusion that yes, even though whether I get information or not, something might happen, something may change because there is somebody who noticed. You might get somebody like this Deputy Commissioner of Police who actually took some further action. It can happen. We need to do something. If you are the Badshah or Begum of this nation, a Begum has responsibilities. The Constitution of India was framed by a Constituent Assembly which was very unique and led by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. But that Constitution has to be sustained by us. We the people of India made the Constitution, but we the people of India have to sustain that Constitution. It will not happen through leaders. It will happen only through you, through you, through you. You are the only Begum of this nation. And if you don't do anything, nobody else will. Nobody from any country is going to do it. No leader is going to do it for us. We will have to do it. And not everyone in India needs to do it. We need not even come together. Independently decide that I want to do something for India. Nowadays there is a lot of talk of nationalism, patriotism. Janda ke niche khada ho, janda raise karo. Sing the national anthem, stand up in the national. These are useful symbols. Good tokenisms, but nothing will change with that. If the whole of India were to stand from Monday on 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, below flags across the nation and sing Jana Gana Mana Vande Mataram Bharat Mata Ki Jai, nothing will change. We need to do something. Patriotism has to be something that has to be into our blood, it has to get under our skin. We need to do something to make that change, to make a better India. Mera Bharat Mahan, quite often we say, we write below trucks, tempos, cars at times, Mera Bharat Mahan, but we don't really believe it, do we? And therefore I say, Mera Bharat Mahan nahi hai. Mera Bharat Mahan nahi hai, par ye dosh mera hai. I, the individual sovereign citizen of this nation, am responsible. You, the Begums of this nation, are responsible if India is not great. You have no excuse. India will become great if you make a small effort, and that effort is required if you really believe in this country. Thank you very much. Thank you, friends.
Good morning, sir.
So my question is recently I visited a Mahara office, you may be aware of it. So sir, there was a government officer, he just wasted our time, like it's 3 to 4 hours. He just kept on telling us that you just wait, your file is coming, and so on. And we kept on asking him, but he realized that he's celebrating his birthday in the office. So sir, in this case what we can do? Is this applicable for
Preferably, keep most communication with government on paper. Avoid trying to meet government officers. This used to happen to me also when I was a commissioner. People would come before me and say, this chap was very rude to me. मैं 10 बार गया, मेरे को 10 बार बुलाया. And I used to ask people, are you beggar? And people would get very annoyed and say, no, no, sir, why do you call us a beggar? And I'd say, a person who keeps going to somebody is a beggar. Keep it to a communication in writing. If you don't get a response, file an RTI application. The much better way of dealing with the government is by written modes. Going and waiting 4 hours, you are only demeaning yourself, and that fellow feels, I am a Raja. Yes, the government officer is also a Badshah or Begum, but so are you. It should be a transaction of equals. Don't let people humiliate you, is all I can say.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Sir, in our area there was a rape case that happened, and it was the father who was responsible for this. The father actually raped the daughter. And what happened is, he after 2 to 3 months, he got released on bail. And we have no idea what really happened because all the witness, everything was against him. So can we file an RTI application regarding what really happened, why he was released on a bail? And
See, you can ask for a copy of the order. Judicial proceedings are not covered by RTI, the actual proceedings. But you can ask for a copy of the order and then try and figure out for yourself.
okay, thank you so much.
Will some of you file RTI applications?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. One last request from my side. I want the Begums in this house to raise their hands. Who are the Begums? Raise your hands, raise your hands. Make that effort of at least raising your hand. God bless you. Thank you, friends.